फेरी टेल्स। हम बचपन में उन्हें कंफर्ट के लिए सुनते थे। एक सेफ वर्ल्ड, एक मैजिकल वर्ल्ड जहां मॉन्स्टर्स होते थे पर एंडिंग हमेशा हैप्पी होती थी। बट ब्रैम्बल द माउंटेन किंग, ये गेम एक हॉरिफाइंग रियलाइजेशन है कि शायद फेरी टेल्स कभी बच्चों के लिए थी ही नहीं। शायद वो वार्निंग्स थी, warnings about the forest, about nature, about death, about the fact कि दुनिया तुम्हारी इनोसेंस से इमोशनली अटैच्ड नहीं है। और फिर गेम कैजुअली एक 40 फुट स्कैंडिनेवियन नाइटमेयर को तुम्हारे सामने खड़ा कर देता है। लाइक, गुड लक टाइनी चाइल्ड। Bramble looks beautiful, soft lighting, tiny forests, cute little characters. और फिर, in every 5 minutes, the game emotionally assaults you. This game doesn't feel like horror. It feels like a childhood memory that went rotten. Bramble the Mountain King basically follows a young boy named Ole. Who enters this dark mythical Nordic world to save his sister. Simple setup, but emotionally. ये गेम एक फीवर ड्रीम है, एक नाइटमेयर जिसमें हर क्रीचर फील्स एंशिएंट, broken and deeply cursed. And the scariest part, most of these monsters are actually inspired by real Nordic folklore, which means humanity looked at these creatures centuries ago and said, yeah, let's tell children about this before bedtime. Amazing parenting strategy, honestly. The world of Bramble feels magical at first. Tiny glowing forests, beautiful lakes, storybook visuals. But slowly, you realize something terrifying. This world does not care if you survive. और इसी वजह से Bramble hits differently. Because unlike most horror games, you are not powerful. You are not the chosen one. You're literally just a scared child. And the game weaponizes that vulnerability perfectly. You know what makes Bramble psychologically terrifying? Scale. Everything feels too big. Trees feel massive. Doors feel ancient. Creatures feel godlike. और तुम बस एक tiny insignificant child हो. The game constantly reminds you that you don't belong here. And honestly, that taps into one of humanity's oldest fears, the fear of being small in an uncaring universe. As kids, हम darkness से डरते थे because imagination infinite होती है. A hanging coat becomes a ghost. A forest becomes a monster. A strange sound becomes death itself. Bramble understands this psychology perfectly. It doesn't rely on jump scares constantly. It relies on helplessness. And helplessness is far more disturbing. Because when you cannot fight, every sound matters. Every shadow matters. Every footstep feels like destiny approaching. And the sound design, bhai saab. This game doesn't use sound like decoration. It uses sound like psychological warfare. Distant screaming, wet creatures' noises, branches cracking, breathing, silence. Especially silence. Because silence in Bramble feels like the world holding its breath before something horrible happens. And somehow the game still looks beautiful. That contrast messes with your brain. Beautiful visuals, horrific reality, like childhood itself. There's something deeply sad about Bramble. Not just scary, sad. Because the game constantly shows innocence walking through cruelty. And innocence always loses something: trust, safety, hope. Sometimes humanity itself. As adults, we realize monsters are real, not fantasy monsters, real world monsters. Cruelty, manipulation, violence, abandonment. And Bramble feels like a symbolic journey through that realization. Like childhood slowly dying in front of you. And honestly, that's more terrifying than any creature in the game. The troll in Bramble is horrifying because he doesn't feel evil. He feels natural, like an ancient force, a walking mountain of pain and instinct. And when you see him chasing tiny children, your brain instantly realizes, yeah, humans were never supposed to survive this planet. This man looks like depression evolved into a biological organism. Näcken is probably one of the most disturbing sections in the game because he weaponizes beauty, music, seduction, peace, and then turns it into death. That's psychologically terrifying because Bramble constantly reminds you danger doesn't always look dangerous. Sometimes horror look beautiful. Also, this man playing violin naked in a lake while murdering people is probably the most aggressively European horror thing I have ever seen. Skugzraw. Skugzraw feels tragic, beautiful from the front, monstrous from behind, almost symbolic of illusion itself. The idea that humans desperately chase beauty without seeing the horror hidden underneath. And Bramble loves this theme. Everything attractive in this world eventually reveals teeth. Every creature in Bramble feels ancient, not demonic, not evil villain. More like nature stopped caring about humanity a very long time ago. And honestly, that existential feeling stays with you. Fairy tales were never fully innocent. Original folklore was dark because stories were survival tools. Don't go into the forest, don't trust strangers, don't wander at night. Fear was education, and Bramble captures that perfectly. The game feels like hearing childhood stories again, but this time as an adult. And suddenly, you understand why they were terrifying. As kids, we think fairy tales are magical. As adults, we realize they were preparing us for suffering, loss, cruelty, manipulation, death. Bramble feels like childhood imagination colliding violently with adult reality. And that emotional collision creates horror stronger than gore ever could. Most horror games make you feel strong eventually. Bramble never fully does. And that's genius. Because running becomes emotional. Every escape feels earned. Every survival feels temporary. And जब giant creatures तुम्हारे पीछे भागते हैं, you don't feel heroic. You feel prey. And prey psychologically is terrifying. Panic, tunnel vision, adrenaline, desperation. This game understands fear on a biological level. Even gameplay mechanics support vulnerability. You hide, you run, you survive by intelligence, not power, which makes every victory emotionally satisfying and emotionally exhausting too. After some sections, you genuinely need a mental break. Not because the game is difficult, because the atmosphere drains you psychologically. Playing Bramble feels like congratulations, your bedtime stories now require therapy. This game really said, what if tiny children explored Scandinavian emotional damage? Every monster looks like it escaped from a museum called Ancient Creatures that absolutely hate your existence. And those chase sequences? Oh, pure panic running simulator. No strategy, no intelligence. But survival instincts and screaming internally. Also, whoever designed the creature sounds, I genuinely hope they are okay mentally. Because no emotionally stable person create noises like that. But despite all its horror, Bramble remains strangely beautiful. And maybe that's the point. Life itself is beautiful and terrifying simultaneously. Childhood is beautiful until reality enters it. Fairy tales are beautiful until you understand their meaning. And innocence is beautiful because it cannot survive forever. Maybe Bramble stays with people because it reminds us of that painful transition. The moment childhood stops feeling safe, the moment imagination becomes fear, the moment we realize the forest was never magical. We were just too innocent to see the monsters hiding inside it. Bramble the Mountain King isn't just horror, it's grief wearing the mask of a fairy tale. A beautiful nightmare, a story about innocence walking through cruelty and somehow continuing forward anyway. Maybe that's why a fairy tale existed. Not to comfort children, but to prepare them for fear, for darkness, for the fact that sometimes surviving itself becomes courage. And honestly, that realization is far scarier than any monster in the forest. अगर आपको ऐसी और वीडियोस देखना पसंद है जहां पे गेम्स की साइकोलॉजी और गेम्स के लोर को समझना चाहते हैं तो आप मेरे यूट्यूब चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर सकते हैं बेल आइकन दबाना ना भूलिएगा एंड प्लीज लाइक द वीडियो एंड डू टेल योर फ्रेंड्स अबाउट माय यूट्यूब चैनल थैंक यू सो मच